오케이. 네, 대한민국 블록체이너스에게 가치의 가치를 더하는 더 블록체이너스 시은입니다. 그리고 오늘 모신 손님은 my guest here today, Mr. Samson Mo.
Hello.
Man, thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for inviting me.
No, yeah, it's awesome. Wow, I have a person who has a shitload of Twitter followers.
You have a lot of viewers.
Well, yeah, and you could.
We can trade. We can trade.
Oh, I thought, don't you have more viewers on Magical Crypto Friends?
I don't know, I think we have like 15,000 subscribers maybe.
Yeah, so you're moving up the ranks.
We're working on it.
For sure. Okay, yeah, so I mean, like, Samson was in town and he was very kind enough to like drop by. And I think this is our second time meeting, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
well, I wanted to drop by and see the studio.
Yeah, so we have a pretty humble studio, to say the least.
With big plans.
Yeah, with big plans. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, so we'll be talking about like a variety of topics today.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just get started.
Sure.
So please, like, not everybody in Korea knows you. So please introduce yourself to people out here in Korea.
Okay, so my name is Samson Mo. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Blockstream. I also have a game company called Pixelmatic. And I have a show with 3 other friends called Magical Crypto Friends.
Yeah. Tell us what your what do you do as CSO of Blockstream?
So
As the axis of evil.
So CSO is a very broad title, but I actually am kind of acting as the Chief Product Officer, Chief Marketing Officer, and heading up biz dev too. So it's kind of 3 big roles: a lot of external facing, biz dev, and product stuff.
What's the ratio between like developers to like non-developers over at Blockstream?
Traditionally, Blockstream has been very R&D heavy.
Yeah.
It's founded by a lot of developers and Adam. I think right now our ratio is we're at least more than half developers still. But we've been ramping up. So since I've joined Blockstream, I've been building up the product team. So we have more product managers. But a lot of our product guys are also very technical. They're also from an engineering background. I also brought in designers and some more marketing staff. Some people I brought over from BTCC.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been ramping up like all of our front end and forward facing, customer facing kind of stuff.
Sweet. Then tell us a little bit more about like Pixelmatic and your involvement there.
Sure. So I founded Pixelmatic in 2011 after I left Ubisoft. I just wanted to make my own game company because I thought I can do it better. But it's been running since 2011. We operate a MOBA game in China, and we're building our own game also.
Dang. Okay. And will this game involve crypto?
It might.
Okay.
It
great.
might. So
Great.
You're hearing it first here.
Yeah. You heard it first. 네, 싱싱싱님 안녕하세요. And 블록가트님, he's like, I love Lightning Network. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do too.
Yeah. So in Korea, after like, I don't really think people knew you pre the economy debate.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this from like other sources.
Well, a lot of people I meet in Korea, they go, "Oh, I know you. You're at Economy." So it's definitely something that people know me from.
Yeah, obviously you're
for better or worse.
Your
right?
infamy didn't exist in Korea before the economy, and you're like known as in the Korean media, you're presented as like the friend of Roger Ver.
Okay, that's not right, but
yeah, Samson Mo, the friend of Roger Ver. That was actually like the headline.
Okay, we have to fix that.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Well, we're not really friends. I know who he is.
Yeah.
He knows who I am, and that's about it.
Were you guys like? Did you guys ever, just a personal question? You don't have to like answer it if you don't want to. Was there ever a point where like you guys saw like eye to eye or?
Well, I think he kind of went off the deep end.
Yeah.
With Bcash.
Yeah.
And after that, there's like no seeing eye to eye, right?
Yeah.
Because it's all FUD and lies and false truths.
Yeah.
So there's not much you can do. But before that, even though he was always on the big block side of every argument, we didn't really have any animosity per se. It's just like, you have no idea what you're doing, but yeah, have your opinion.
Yeah, so I'm curious because like I'm someone that entered the space like seriously like middle of 2016. I mean, I knew about Bitcoin at the end of 2014.
Right.
But then so like as I've talked to more OGs, it's like what happened between like the crypto Keynesian, crypto Austrian divide? Because I know like when I go back and I hear like a lot of like Adam Back's interviews and everything is like there's the whole idea of, well, you have a single Bitcoin and you have all these altcoins coming out.
Yeah.
And then once the altcoins overtake Bitcoin, it's like what happens then? Like we're not really sure what happens.
Well, the altcoins won't overtake Bitcoin. It's not possible because Bitcoin has its first mover advantage. It has network effects. It has massive pools of liquidity relative to the altcoins.
Yeah,
it's still like very relative to other things like gold and other commodities. Bitcoin is still relatively illiquid, but it's the king of all the cryptocurrencies and tokens.
Yeah,
but the key thing with Bitcoin is it's digital scarcity, right? So altcoins kind of break that thesis. If you can copy Bitcoin and print something out of thin air, it's not digital scarcity. It's not digital gold anymore, right? So I think a lot of that thinking and divide happens between people that understand what makes Bitcoin valuable, and that's why you have people, very maximalist in their views and on Bitcoin supremacy in the space, right?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm messing around with words, but I actually call myself a moderate small blocker.
Okay.
Because like I don't know, I guess like for me, the way I see it personally is there is like it could have been done this or that way, but like as somebody who believes that the internet was scaled because of MP3s, so like compression first before anything else. I'm like, so let's put all our efforts into this compression effort, and then let's see what comes out of it.
Right. Well, it's not really like, it's more about what can you or cannot do, right? If you want to change the block size, which was that raging discussion, which is ended, then you have to change the consensus rules. And the question really comes down to, are consensus rules things that we can change easily? And if you can change it easily, that attacks the thesis of Bitcoin, just like digital scarcity. Attacking digital scarcity, you're attacking the consensus rules, because all Bitcoin or any cryptocurrency is a set of rules. If you can easily change those rules at will, then you can, there's nothing really sacred there, right? You can change the cap, you can add inflation, you can do all sorts of stuff.
And also like those things are just a single line of code.
Well, Bcash is just like changing a number on a variable, right?
That's right. Okay, so we got some viewers. 지나다카님 안녕하세요. 신상아님 안녕하세요. So, 지나다카 asks, he says, like, so what the Bitcoin white paper proposes as like a decentralized and a deflationary currency that guarantee a trustless deflationary currency, like how do you see it coming into fruition, like full force, like maybe like 10 years from now? What would you say the possibilities are?
Well, we already have it, right? The question is adoption at this point. But I think within 5 years we'll see a lot of merchant adoption, right? With Lightning is going to make that possible because it reduces all of that friction. But Bitcoin is here to stay. It's not going anywhere, and it's only going to get bigger and bigger.
But do you envision, and I guess this is my question too, it's like black swan events happen all the time, and so Bitcoin was probably like the black swan event to happen to existing financial infrastructure. But like I also wonder like what could possibly be a black swan event to Bitcoin, if there ever is one.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say because it's Bitcoin is really reinventing what we think of money, right? We've kind of forgotten what money is over time, and we think that printed paper is valuable, right? And people have slowly been learning that's not the case, right? So Bitcoin is really just re-educating everyone of what sound money is, right? And that's why it's important to maintain the rule set, like maintain what Bitcoin is and not change it at will, because if we can change it at will, then it will get changed at will. But it's hard to really disrupt that because it's really just the world recognizing that this thing is valuable, and for that to happen, it's a couple times in 1,000 years maybe, right?
So let's talk a little bit about like slowly gaining real world adoption. So what's been hot on Twitter recently is ETF backed, right? What's your opinion on it? I see very differing opinions even within the industry about let's step aside on backed for a while about the ETF. What's your take on it? Is it good for the ecosystem?
I've read a few things from various opinions. I've read Andreas's write-up about it, and I can see like his concerns, and there are valid concerns. I just don't think that it's necessarily as bad as he makes it out to be. So I'm of the position that it will be a good thing. I don't think that if you have an ETF, then all the Bitcoin will go into this and no one will transact Bitcoin on their own.
Okay.
I just don't think that's going to be the case.
Okay.
I think ETFs will make it more accessible to not just institutions, but just regular people that are plugged into the, you know, the trading ecosystem, the old trading ecosystem, right? But I see it as a good thing. It's going to complement it, just like there is going to be a need for a custodial solution for Bitcoin, right? Not everyone has the capacity or technical ability to manage their own private keys.
Yeah.
So these things can all coexist together, I think.
So yeah, Andreas's thing is the custodial thing, right? Because it's all irreversible transactions. You're basically creating a honeypot for a lot of Bitcoin to be under risk.
Well, he's saying like you have it all held in some custodial solution, and if they get hacked, then they're in trouble. But that's the same for anything, right? Like if you have a gold ETF, it would be the same thing. If someone stole the gold, then it's also a problem. But the concern is that I think more that all the trading will be done in ETFs instead of like regular crypto exchanges or OTC. But I just don't see that happening.
So like that's, I guess in some ways he's implying that will be kind of against the ethos of Bitcoin, of like self-sovereign money.
Yeah.
What do you believe in, like self-sovereign? I know you believe in sound money, but like what's your take on financial institutions?
I do believe in self-sovereign money, but it's just like there are many things that different people in different market segments will need, right? It's like if you think of Bitcoin as digital gold, you know, there are gold ETFs and you can buy and hold your own gold if you want. It's just part of the ecosystem.
Yeah. Okay. Now let's talk about Backed.
Okay.
When you first saw that like announcement, what did you think?
I think it's going to be interesting. They've got a lot of big companies backing it. No pun intended, but it looks like it's geared to make a big splash in the marketplace.
How do you like? What kind of impact do you see?
It's hard to tell because looking at what it is right now, it's not that clear what form it's going to take ultimately. But I just know it's probably going to make it easier for institutional money to come in. Yeah. So institutional money is coming, right? It's just waiting for the right avenue, ETF or no ETF. Yeah.
Like even minus the ETF, like all the security tokens exchanges that's been popping up.
Yeah.
Right. That's the next.
The next wave.
But you go to a place like Polymath, and you see all the security tokens. There are really a lot of like shit security tokens. There's actually more shit security tokens than there are shit utility tokens.
Right.
Like just a percentage wise. I just don't see it. So.
Well, I think the exchanges, there are going to be exchanges that focus on security tokens, and they should do a lot of that filtering. I think between the shit security tokens and the good security tokens.
Yeah. And from there, another thing that's happening in the market nowadays with the market just suffering. Bitcoin's not getting smashed, but Ethereum definitely is. Having a very, very hard time with the ICO market implosion. And we kind of all saw this coming. Yeah. Because obviously, like at some point in time, margin's going to be squeezed, or people will need to start liquidating their ETH. Yeah. And then the train has started. Yeah. Right. So what's your take on like ICO market implosion?
I think it was bound to happen, like you said. Like a lot of the ICOs are not really going anywhere. And even Ethereum is not really going anywhere. The main use case of Ethereum is for ICO. So if ICO market is down, of course, Ethereum's going to come down too. Yeah. Coupled with the Ethereum ASICs coming online.
Is the Ethereum ASIC the one that Bitmain created? Yeah. That was like subpar. It wasn't really like that significant. But have you seen any other movements with Ethereum ASICs?
Not really. I think that's the only real one on the market right now.
Yeah. And I know like the guy from SIA, big long blog post about like maybe it's not up to par in terms of hash power, but maybe it could it's hashing algorithm change resistant. I think that's the mining algorithm change resistant. So you change the mining algorithm and it'll follow it. Right. Like on and on. Okay. I don't know if that's the future for mining.
I don't know.
Okay.
You're talking about the SIA miner or the Ether miner?
Oh, it was the Ether miner.
Okay.
So the whole point was like you don't have to go completely performant and be really reliant on a single mining algorithm. But if you cut it down a couple notches, it'll start following the mining algorithm changes.
Yeah. Basically, for ASICs, you can give up on some performance in terms of flexibility, and that's just a balance, right?
And wow. Okay, let's see. So Song-Shik Khan, he says, just because a currency is deflationary doesn't mean that the price will go up. What do you think?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but it's like about use.
It is going up
Yeah.
over time. Like you just look at the historical data, right?
Yeah.
Bitcoin is not fully deflationary yet. We still have inflation right now,
Yeah.
but the price is going up. I think the key thing is that it's a scarce resource.
Okay. And wow, all right, this is good question because it's about Bitmain and the monopoly of crypto mining. All right, so you put out a whole bunch of tweets. You and Whale Panda and some other people have been putting out a lot of tweets about Bitmain pre-IPO.
Yes.
Okay, so when did this start happening? Can you like kind of give us a history of like when did this rumor start circulating that they're doing a pre-IPO?
Well, they've been shopping around for, I think, before the leaks, at least a couple months before that. But the decks started leaking out, and people send me stuff, so I just shared it with everyone else.
Yeah, and this was, I think, for people who are not Chinese, it was hard for them to get a hold of the financial documents, right?
Yeah.
A
lot of the decks were all Chinese.
Okay.
There was one English deck though.
Okay.
At least one that I got.
All right.
Yeah,
And then
there's 3 Chinese decks, 1 English deck.
So the secret's out. That's how many.
I think
decks
Will
there are.
Panda already shared 2 of the decks.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
they're all very similar, just slight permutations.
Yeah. So, I mean, you put basically what you said on Twitter is, or what you pointed out is that everything that happened in 2018 quarter 2, that thing is completely missing. We don't really know what happens, and then the numbers on there might have been massaged quite a bit.
Yeah. So we'll have to see, but there are certain things that are clear from the decks, which is that they have a big pile of BCH, and they have a large inventory, and that inventory has to be written down because there's no way it's valued at that price.
But how do they keep track of it? Because there's, we know that like Bitmain has been mining Monero and other things, but all that stuff is like not there. It's completely absent.
Well, I don't think they broke it down. Right? You see a large column inventory. Like
Yeah.
it's not their financial statements. It's like a presentation with a certain level of detail in their thing. But I'm pretty sure they have inventory for other stuff. Even the bricked Moneros is part of that inventory.
So I can't believe that people wanted to buy it when obviously like some of the information was missing. I mean, unless I got the financials.
You mean invest in it?
Yeah, invest in.
Well, a lot of them didn't, which was the next round of stuff that has been.
I know people that did, and I also know people that didn't.
Okay.
So kind of.
You mean the big investors?
Yeah, for me personally, it was like I want the financials. Like we really wanted the financials, and all my friends with like banking background to like actually go through, double check everything.
Yeah.
It's like if you're buying a IPO company, I think you should do a lot more due diligence than if I'm going into an ICO or something.
Probably.
Yeah.
But the way that it is, it's almost like an ICO, right? It's like we have all these people, and you should invest quickly because the boat's about to leave.
And also, yeah, we are like, back in the days, right? Whenever a new ASIC came out, the monopoly in the market, right? It would change, right? So the landscape was always shifting, but that stopped for a while. Like Bitmain did have a monopoly for a while, and then with some of the cards that they played wrong, but also with GMO coming out, and then the Halong miners?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch. So there's Avalon, eBang, InnoSilicon, Halong, I guess, and GMO.
Yeah, and then Canaan.
And Kinen's Avalon, sorry.
Okay, yeah.
Kinan Avalon, and then there's also What's Miner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
The only Chinese small blocker.
The what?
It wasn't West Miner the guy that was originally with at Bitmain and he came out.
He's their chip designer.
Yeah.
That's why they have no new chips.
Yeah. But when I go to their website, it's not. I don't think it's updated. Like.
Yeah, I think they're not really focused on marketing, but they are doing a lot of R&D, and they've announced like a new model coming out September or October-ish.
And so like Name is asking, with all these new chip designers and with these new chips that we know are obviously better than the S9, right? How do you think the landscape will change in terms of mining?
Well, I think just because of how ASICs work in the physics, there's a wall you hit with performance and like efficiency, watts per terahash, right? You get far less gains with every new generation than you went from like say 28 to 16, right? You can see like some of the 7 nanometer stuff is really not that big of an efficiency gain, but there is a higher cost because it's newer technology.
Yeah.
So I think what's going to happen is that we'll have a lot more manufacturers come out, and the market's going to be much more evenly distributed rather than just Bitmain, because they had their basically their bull run with the S9. It was the dominant miner, and now that's kind of over. They have not made a new one yet, and even if they did make a new one, the efficiency gains are not going to be massive.
And also, isn't the problem that as we have like you said, like if like efficiency gains, like or like barely any efficiency gains with every new generation of ASIC miners, there's also geographical limitations, right? There's only so many places in the world where you can have like cheap electricity.
Yeah.
Cooling, all of that stuff is provided. Yeah, and so now you have to purchase that plot of land and try to squeeze as many ASIC miners into a warehouse as you can, right? So that'll be another issue.
Yeah, but it's not that bad though. There's cheap power available everywhere. The question is really just how much upfront capital you want to put in, right? You can go to Iceland and drill a hole and get like 1 cent for your power, but you're gonna need a few $1 million to drill the hole. So it's a different game now. There's going to be more capital cost up front to access the cheap power, as that cheap power is used up.
So really, like your hobby miner, like that era is really coming to a close.
That passed a long time ago.
Yeah, I mean, but still, I mean, there's still like people who so for shits and giggles, like they're running an ASIC at home.
Yeah, as long as you're okay. Like, if you're mining just because you want to mine, it's fine, right? You can mine at a loss if you want, or you just want the anonymity of mining your own Bitcoin. That's fine too, right? Or if you have cheap power, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So Hungbong Kim is like, Samson, the legendary troll. Great to see you in this channel.
Yeah.
And we got some Chinese people.
I'm training you up to be a troll.
Oh man, I can't do it. I don't have that face like whatever you guys do on Magical Crypto.
Charlie Lee's face?
Yeah, oh man, Charlie's. Yeah, I just don't have it.
I gotta tell you, it's not easy sometimes to keep a straight face and say some of the jokes. That's why we record it and release it later.
I don't know if your editor goes back and he actually like switches these things around so that it looks like you guys kept a straight face.
Yeah, so we do many takes.
Okay, great. All right, next up is, again, with mining, we actually had like proof of work, proof of stake, all that. Consensus algorithm stuff, but now we have that trans mining, the F-coin type deals, and so some people are lauding this as actually a new paradigm.
Okay.
And others are like, but it's not sustainable. So what's your take on that?
It depends. Like, I used to run an exchange, so for some of our markets, it was 0 fees, right? There was actually no trading fees. That's why a lot of the volumes in China were massive originally, because none of the exchanges were charging fees. But if you're not charging fees, then it's the same thing. I could also give you a free token that I generate, right? So it's not like it's totally unsustainable if you have other ways, right? So margin trading was a revenue source, right? Lending is another source, but there's other ways to make money without having to necessarily charge trading fees. But it's probably better for the market that everyone does charge trading fees. But yeah, the trans fee mining stuff sounds sort of gimmicky to me.
So what happened with 0 transaction fees back in China? Because I know that, like, I think this was like when Huobi, right? They did the whole like 0 transaction fees.
No, it was actually BTCC first.
Oh, was it first?
Yeah. So it all started because of BTCC. Okay. We did some promotion, and then I think Huobi and OK also did a promotion, and then nobody could agree to like stop the promotion. So it was just 0 fees until the Chinese exchanges were shut down.
Oh, so it was 0 fees all the way through.
Yeah, it's 0 all the way.
So you guys actually didn't see the end. Like it's basically a war on attrition, right?
Yeah, it's a race to 0, right?
So you would think maybe like the F-coin like exchanges would kind of do something similar.
Well, it's a different market these days, right? But the trans fee mining is basically 0 fees because you're just giving people a token, right? So if they have another way to generate revenue, then I'm not sure exactly, but it could be done. But it does sound like a gimmick.
Yeah. Here's some interesting question. John is like, trolling is an art form.
It is.
Name asks why is there a bear market now, and when will it be over to signal another bull run?
It's hard to say. Like, markets are very fickle.
Yeah.
I think that the 20K price that we hit was never sustainable. I think the right price right now should be about 10K. I think Bitcoin is undervalued, but it's hard to say exactly what's causing it, right? But it's just the bull run definitely is caused by FOMO, people seeing the news and finding out about Bitcoin and wanting to get in.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And when the FOMO stops, then the price typically will come down, but it'll recover over time. It just depends on people learning what Bitcoin really is, right? And it's not a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yes. And this other person is asking, when do you think Lightning Network will be fully adopted? Is it Alex Bosworth?
Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he like had a recent tweet about like there's a lot of stuff that's happening with Lightning applications that nobody knows anything about because it's all underwater. But
yeah,
there's so much development happening, not only with the LND, but even with the current version of LND, the rudimentary version. There's just a lot of people working on ideas. So
yeah,
when do you think it'll be?
It really depends on everyone, right? Like if everyone adopted Lightning, then we'll have adoption. But the tech is still really new. We only just went to beta a couple months ago, right? And it's still in the early stages. And I think there's a lot of usability that still needs to be worked out at the technical level. But the encouraging thing is seeing all the Lightning apps and laps and just cool stuff that people are doing with Lightning. So it's definitely going to become mainstream. I think in terms of general adoption, it's going to happen very quickly once it happens. All it takes is some merchant provider to integrate Lightning, like say Amazon integrated it, or I don't know, some web store. Then you instantly will have a ton of adoption.
So how does C Lightning happen for you guys? I mean,
how does it happen?
Sorry, like why did you to put it another way, like there's already LND, but why did you like jump in with another implementation? Why did Blockstream decide? Was it always like part of your roadmap? I know you guys were very strong on the sidechain thing.
Yeah, so Blockstream is really heavy on R&D. We first started investing in Lightning development in like 2015. That's like way before anyone cared about that stuff. Like we're talking about sidechains. Like the company was founded in 2014 with a white paper, essentially creating sidechains, right? Yeah. So a lot of the stuff we do is just predicting what's going to happen in the future. But having a Lightning implementation is important for our R&D and also for strategic purposes, because this is the stuff that's going to really scale the ecosystem. And I think for us, for C Lightning, like a differentiator between other implementations, I think C Lightning is meant to be more enterprise grade. It's meant to be much more robust.
Are you a fan of, Peter Todd has the whole thing of like one implementation, and then there's like the Vitalik Buterin camp of like you should have multiple implementations of a protocol. Which one do you personally stand on? For
Bitcoin at layer 1, I think there should be one implementation. It's risky, right? Anyone that understands it will probably prefer it, especially miners, right? Miners will just use one implementation. Yeah. Because if you screw up, you're losing money. At layer 2, it's less of an issue. It's more compatibility is important, right? And it's less of an issue if there's one or if there's many. But I think for Lightning's case, it is interesting to have many because it's just different tech stacks. So C Lightning is C, and then you have like LND in Go, and you have async in Scala. Yeah. Okay. I think Matt Corallo is working on something in Rust.
Oh, is he really?
It's just more implementations, and more people can do different things with different implementations.
Okay, cool. EJ Lee is actually asking if you're married.
Let's
You're not gonna answer that question.
Let's not talk about personal life.
All right. So believe it or not, when Greg Maxwell left Blockstream, there was a rumor that was going around in Korea about Adam Back and Greg Maxwell like leaving in really bad terms.
Really?
Yeah. So can you clear that up for us?
That's not really the case. So Greg has always been half-time. So we have one full-time contributor to Bitcoin Core, Peter Woolley, SIPA, and then Greg was also half-time. So he's like half-time CTO and half-time on core development. So like it's just like how we founded the company and the ethos, which is to contribute to open source and invest in these techs. So like Greg leaving is not a major thing because he wanted to leave and focus full-time on Bitcoin development. And he's done a lot of really interesting stuff like Taproot, Graphroot, everything since he's left, and a lot more. I haven't even had the chance to follow some of his work, but he just really wanted to focus more on the tech and instead of managing the tech part of the company. And it's understandable, right? If that's his passion, then that's what he should do.
There was I think right after he left, like Fluffy posted a thing about like wanting to hire Greg or something.
Really?
I don't know. It was like really random.
Yeah.
Like when they're like a little, I think like Fluffy, like he jokes around so much, and so you're doing a show obviously with Charlie and Fluffy, but do you see like the Bitcoin, Litecoin, Monero that existing as like a family of sorts, or as what do you see? Like what makes them stand out amongst other altcoins?
So there's actually real development happening, unlike a lot of altcoins, right? There's like zero development happening for things like Bcash, but Litecoin has development going on. They're actively trying to build out a payment network that's using Litecoin. They're proponents of Lightning as well, and from Monero, it's actually an altcoin with a real use case, which is privacy. And it's the only privacy coin that's actually private, right? Like Zcash is not private at all. So Monero actually has like real functionality. And I think anything with a real value proposition is useful.
Yeah. Okay, great. And let's, to wrap things up, let's talk about crypto in games.
Okay.
Because you had a history with Ubisoft and whatnot.
Yeah.
When you first encountered crypto, did you immediately like think like, oh, games and crypto will go perfect?
I think, well, being in the game industry, having worked on games with economies and things like that, it's kind of like blows your mind. Like when I first read about Bitcoin in 2013, it's like, wow, this is like it's like a game currency, but it exists without any game, and it's like self-sustaining. So that just like blew my mind. But I think there is a place for cryptocurrencies and games, because most games will have their own economy, and I think the barrier is more from the game industry looking at the tech and looking at how things work, rather than any particular adoption, right? Like most game companies have terms of service where you cannot actually trade the currency of the game. You can't trade the items of the game. They want to keep it in a closed wall system. But if you change your mindset, there's a lot of interesting things that can happen. So people can play a game and earn a digital token, like digital bearer asset token, and take it out and trade it, right? You can do a lot of interesting things like eliminate a secondary market. If you have a digital currency in the game, then people can't farm it unless you give it out for farming. But if you, like, say, pre-sold that currency, then there is no more farming. People would play the game and use the game marketplace to trade. But it would open up like the entire game industry to more of a free open market for trading assets and currencies.
Is the game industry not a free open market for trading?
Not really. Most of them are closed wall. Like you can trade WoW gold or gold from currencies from other MMOs, but it's against the terms of service because they don't want the outside influence on their economy, and they don't want to have people taking things out of their game. Because if, say, you bought some currency from World of Warcraft and you lost it, you might go to them and say, this guy stole my money, right? So it's a bit of a paradigm shift for like the game industry to adopt this kind of stuff and be okay with it.
I think it's a huge paradigm shift. And because we have how many like decades of being stuck in that old paradigm of like not being able to take any, not having assets within games being translatable to like have value outside of the game. And then now you're saying no, like we start with that and we go back into the game.
Yes. And I think what you have to do is make a new game that is widely popular and adopted, and then that will change everything else. Because you're not going to go to Blizzard and say, why don't you add a token instead of having WoW Gold, right? Because all these game currencies are not portable. And that's actually something very simple that digital currencies have, which is portability, right? You can take it out, put it on a wallet. You can't take WoW Gold and put it somewhere. Even if you buy it, you have to log into the game and trade in-game with another guy. Or you buy an account with that gold on the account. Man,
thank you. Like that's actually very insightful. I had a like an hour and a half long discussion with a friend of mine about this, and I was like, why crypto and games, right? And you have the omniverse. People talk about the omniverse idea where you could trade items from game to game to game. and then you also have like transparency issues. You also have like decentralization issues. I guess that's more of like what you said about blocking people from taking advantage of the current, affecting the in-game currency or the in-game economics through their terms of service.
Yeah.
But you're saying we could actually get rid of those terms of service.
Yes.
Let's build it on you.
Yeah. But I don't think it's going to be like conving individual game companies and developers.
No, hell no.
You've got to like turn it over on its head.
Yeah, Korean. I've met a lot of my friends are meeting Korean game companies as well as like Japanese game companies, and their whole thing is like they're interested, but they know it's gonna destroy their current existing business model.
Exactly, right? So someone's just got to show them how it's done.
Yeah. Did you enjoy watching Ready Player One?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
I read the book first actually, a long time ago.
Okay. Tell me about so you've been in Korea several times.
Yeah.
What have you seen in the country in terms of like Bitcoin landscape that you think is good? What are some things that can be improved on?
What can be improved on? I think there's a lot of interest, and I think the regulation is moving in a favorable direction, not too heavy-handed. So I think that's good. Like a strong ecosystem, a lot of interest from people, and a lot of exchanges is a good foundation for an ecosystem.
But like, what about in terms of like developer talent or like? I
don't know if there are a lot of core developers in Korea, but there are actually a lot in Japan now. So there are a lot of core developers working on Digital Garage. That's a Blockstream partner and investor.
Okay.
And I think there's also like a team of developers working on Lightning in Japan.
Yeah.
That just popped up.
Yeah.
Like Rusty's been telling me he's like doing early morning calls because now they're this Japanese group of developers working on Lightning. They're joining the group calls.
Sweet. So like the link, yeah, that's actually really good to hear.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Korea, I think I told you this before, but like during Web 2.0, we gravitated towards services as opposed to building infrastructure. So we didn't go like the whole like cloud route.
Right.
We went another route. So we're kind of reaping the fruits of that. So I think the developers will eventually figure that out. Maybe we'll do better when it comes to like developing labs or something.
Yeah.
But what can, in your opinion, because you're a non-developer, what can non-developers do to contribute to the space?
I think the biggest thing is educational material, like the show, or just going out to talk about the technology or talk about why Bitcoin is important.
Is that something that you think people can like make a living off of, or is it a practical thing, or?
I don't know. Like speaking, you can make a living out of, right? Like Andreas can make a living out of.
Yeah, but there's so many like experts, so-called experts,
but not that many talking about Bitcoin. Like if you look at like who is talking about Bitcoin in a favorable light, there's actually not that many, right? You think of Andreas, like I do some, and then a lot of people. There's a few, but most people out there are talking about altcoins or tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or blockchain, not about Bitcoin.
Yep. True. All right. Just one more question from the audience. It asks, what's your thought on the possibility of a deflationary spirals happening in future Bitcoin-based economies?
Okay, what's that mean?
So
like
I think the deflationary spiral is maybe like the last 20 years in Japan.
Okay.
But then from what I understand, the counter argument to that is we've only seen deflationary spirals happen when the deflationary spiral was unplanned.
Right.
So it happens in a very short amount of time. But then with Bitcoin, mathematically, we know that what's coming. So it's
predicted.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the limit of supply is the main constraint, I think. And it's a very predictable thing. So when the halvings are happening. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Well, that's all the questions I had for today. Oh, thank you once again. Oh man, thank you so much. Like every time, it's so insightful to hear perspectives like this, and then for you to visit us in person.
Yeah, it's great to come on your show. Thanks for having me.
네, 여러분 시청해주셔서 너무 감사하고요. 이게 we'll probably translate this. So 이게 아마도 저희가 번역을 해가지고 자막을 달아서 올릴 겁니다. 그래서 여러분께서 추가적으로 물어보고 싶으신 게 있으시다면 언제든지 물어보셔도 좋을 것 같아요. 다시 한 번 더 와주신 삼손에게 너무 감사하고 저희는 내일 10시에 저희가 이제 저랑 영훈이가 하는 블록체이너스 쇼에서 여러분을 뵙도록 하겠습니다.
All right. Thank you.
See you everyone. See ya.